Hoops talk for the streets.
So let's talk about probably the biggest name going on in the Phoenix Suns off season. It's the max center Deandre Ayton right now. He's going to be the number one name thrown out on everything going on in the Phoenix Suns. He will make about, $32 million going into this year. He's got 2 more years after that on his contract. He just signed it last year. We know the whole debacle that was going on with the restricted free agency. I don't know if the Suns can consider this a successful offseason if Deandre Ayton isn't moved after the postseason that he just showed everybody that he was in his postseason, right? My main issue was his lack of rebounding, his lack of motor at times. When it's going great, he's one of the best centers in the league, but when adversity hits, he tends to self-destruct a little bit, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And you can't win a championship that way with your big man in the middle self-destructing. And it's just pretty much the mental engagement for me, in my opinion, right? So he doesn't seem, I feel like Deandre Ayton, when I'm looking at him on the floor from the outside looking in, it seems that he doesn't really take direction very well, or maybe he doesn't agree with what's being told to him by whoever's delivering the news or the message or whatever it is. So I know most likely there's going to have to be some off-season action with Deandre Ayton. This is almost inevitable that maybe he's moved or something happens with him. He's been linked to several teams this offseason, the Blazers, the Mavs, the Pacers, the Raptors, to name a few. So what's your thoughts on the DA situation going on this summer? I know you're frustrated with his play. I've been frustrated with his play. Everybody's been a little frustrated with Deandre Ayton's play for the Suns this season. So what's your thoughts on his situation and the trademark going into the trademark in this summer? Because I know people are on your bumper about these DeAndre Ayton trade rumors, brother. I know they are.
Yeah. Man, I told you I went to bed 3 a.m. on one of those rumors. I put out a tweet last night. I was talking to one of my league sources out there in the West Coast and connected to Portland. And Portland shopping 3, and they want DeAndre Ayton. And
they want him.
So they want him. And Blaze, let me get into some detail here. I make a lot of phone calls. I talk to a lot of people around the league, man. I do my rounds every day. I'm just trying to get narratives and perspectives from people. And when I'm gonna tell you something you might be surprised with. The conversations I'm having with people around the league outside of the Suns there's a big market for DeAndre. There's a bigger market than people think, okay? There are people that think that DeAndre Ayton has, 1, been misused, 2, has untapped potential, okay? And 3, has not been maximized to the ability he can be maximized in Phoenix. I had somebody tell me this yesterday, great example of perspective. I had an Eastern Conference guy with an Eastern Conference team tell me, hey, Flex, this DeAndre Ayton situation reminds me of Laurie Marketing. Okay? And I was like, go into details, brother. And he told me straight up, he goes, listen, an Arizona, University of Arizona kid, high draft pick, went to Chicago, shoot too many threes,
out of position,
lack focus, and was soft. That was Laurie Marketing's deal in Chicago. They moved him to Cleveland. It was the same thing. He gets traded to Utah, finds the right situation. Now he's untouchable. Now he's an all-star. Now he's got a market where you're talking about, So he said the same thing about DA. He's like, Arizona kid, University of Arizona, high draft pick, wasn't used right by the Suns, could potentially go to a new team, 24 years old, and they believe they can transform DeAndre Ayton into a guy that is more of the finished product that we expected to get, but we never really maximized it, And again, DeAndre's got his flaws, brother. You mentioned all of them. Okay, you mentioned all of them. I don't need to even repeat it. Everything you said, times 2, right? Yeah. Everything you said times 2 is real about DeAndre Ayton. But I will say this, bro. And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. If the kid comes into the NBA with anybody on any draft that doesn't include Luka Doncic, he's rookie of the year. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
That year 3, besides Devin Booker, he was probably the best player in that finals run for the Phoenix Suns. Okay? Other than Devin Booker. in some people's opinion, maybe the second most valuable player on that team on the finals run. Okay, so you know he can get you to the finals, and you up 2-0 with Deandre Ayton.
I was about to say, AD played excellent against the Joker and AD in that particular run, so he was the reason why they were able to move on. So
okay, so now let's talk about the subsequent. Let's talk about the following season. Following season, you come back after finals loss, you win 64 games, franchise record, and guess who your center is? Deandre Ayton. Okay. In the first round versus the Pelicans, Devin Booker hurt his hamstring. Who carried the Suns? Go look at the tape. It was Deandre Ayton.
Oh, I got to give it to my man Chris Paul.
Not you. Oh, no. CP had a great end of the series.
Don't forget the closeout game of 14 out of 14.
Unbelievable.
Okay.
You know, I'm talking about the games where Book didn't play. And the games that Book didn't play. And
he had to play with Valanciunas sometimes. He was bumping and grinding with Valanciunas.
Bumping and grinding, did a very good job. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here because I'm saying there's a lot of flaws. Yeah. But I can understand why people outside of Phoenix are looking at him saying, I wonder what that guy would look like if he was actually the number 2 option, getting more than 10 shots a game.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So that's why there's a market for DeAndre. But I do think he's going to get moved, brother. I'm pretty confident they've got some deals. And I will say this. I've heard the structure is they want a first-round pick, they want a starter, and they want a young rotational guy that they can mold. So that's what they're looking for DeAndre. And believe it or not, Blaze, they can get it. I've heard already 3-4 teams that are willing to give that. And there's a team in the top 5 that's not named Portland that will trade the 5th pick right now for DeAndre. I just told you that they're the 5th pick, so you can add to it. It's Detroit. It's Detroit.
I was about to say, you already let the streets know who it is.
So the streets know. Detroit will absolutely trade for DeAndre in a heartbeat. And so he's got a market, and that's where we're at with it.
Absolutely, and I 100% agree with what you're saying. A lot of people who are trying to downplay DA or DeAndre Ayton or what he brings to the table, they're not realizing that there's a market for a lot of players in this league. Just because you don't perform as well with this particular team, it may be because they needed you in a particular role and you weren't bestly suited and fit for that role. The role that the Phoenix Suns needed DeAndre Ayton to play, that wasn't his strong suit. He's not a bruiser. He's not a full-on rim protector, shot blocker. Some guy who's going to get you 20 rebounds. He couldn't even get 10 rebounds in this series against the Joker, which was ridiculous to me. That's always been my problem with him. He averaged, 9 rebounds in the series, which was unacceptable for a center. But somewhere else, we know DeAndre Ayton could get you 20 and 10. He could get you 18 and 11 or whatever the case may be with the right pieces around him, with a team that wants to feature him. It wasn't an opportunity for him in Phoenix to be featured once the culture shifted as into more of a win-now mode. And once they got Chris Paul, it was the start of the ascension of like, listen, we got Chris Paul here. We're going to have some other guys who are going to want to be here, other guys who Chris Paul is friends with, who Devin Booker's friends with, who want to be there with Monty or whatever the case, with James Jones guys. They're going to be teams like that. So once you start shifting the culture that way, this is not a young kid team anymore. This is not a team that's going to be satisfied with 40 wins, 30 wins, and just, having great stats. This is a team that has to go deep into the playoffs every year. And in what requires a team to win a championship is sacrifice. And the problem is, how much was DA sacrificing here for that role that the Phoenix Suns needed him to do? Somewhere else, he may not have to sacrifice. So there's going to be a major, a good enough trade market for him. Now, maybe some teams may not value him, maybe at the price, I guess, maybe because they had to sign him to a max deal. But I feel like if it's a team with some cap room, like you mentioned, the Pistons, Blazers, some teams that could maneuver Toronto. And if there's a team that wants a player, they're going to make the necessary room to get that type of cap room to acquire said player and put him into their lineup. So a lot of people saying that DA has no trade market. They're wrong. There definitely is going to be a trade market.
They're wrong, brother.
Yeah, they're wrong.
They are wrong. Dead wrong.
That's what I'm saying. Do you feel like there's any smoke to the Demar Derozan for DeAndre Ayton kind of rumors? Like anything like that? Have you ever heard?
I don't think that's smoke. That's real.
Oh, you think that's real?
No, that's
because I've heard some rumblings about that.
No, that's real. That's real. Bro, there are so many options for DeAndre Ayton right now. DeMar DeRozan is a real option. They're going to lose Vucevic.
Vooch, yep.
they're trying to build around Zach LaVine. I was actually just having a talk with somebody close to that Bulls situation. And so they like DeAndre a lot. Toronto does too. Blaze, I wish I can, man, I wish I could be so much more open about some of this stuff, brother. But I could tell you, rest assured, that dude's got a market. A lot of teams are going to be knocking on the door. And I give you another example, like, and in two different players. I'm going to be 100 with you. Deandre Ayton is a better shooter, more athletic, and a better defender than Domantas Sabonis.
Oh, I ain't mad at that.
I'm just saying those three categories.
And you see how Sabonis was so overrated also, too, going into the postseason. Look how he performed.
You see what I'm saying? So there are teams that are looking and they're saying, he's 24. He's more athletic than Sabonis. He's a better defender laterally, can guard the paint, can guard the perimeter, can switch out. He's not a center that you can play off the floor in the playoffs. So he's got some unique abilities there. And then you got people that are saying, look at what Sabonis did for Sacramento. And there's teams that think they're the next Sacramento.
Yeah, there's a lot.
They're saying, you know what? If you give me DeAndre Ayton, and Portland's one of them. Portland is saying, how much different will we look if DeAndre was our number 2 with Simons and Shaedon Sharpe, and they're definitely gonna resign Jeremy Grant. I was told that that's a done deal, pretty much. He's coming back. So there's teams that have interest in DA, and it makes sense. And I think the Suns are gonna make a good deal when it's all said and done, and get some required depth and capital for DA.
Yes, I like that plan a lot better. Rather than trying to really trade and go hard for another star, bringing in somebody who may have to be fit into the offense, or maybe you have to game plan a whole nother offense around a big 3 or another big 4. I like going the depth route. I like getting maybe a pick, a very quality starter, starting center, most likely would be best. A starting center caliber, and then a nice rotational defensive or 3-and-D type of wing would be ideal for this Phoenix Suns team. So
agreed.
That's exactly what they're thinking, and it's like obvious that that's exactly what they need, because that's the only thing that they were missing in this playoffs. And there's somebody else who can get a bucket also. That's also one thing that they need to get, which I feel like there's a few bucket getters that they could get on the market.